Today, let's talk a little bit about why weight loss is not sexy. The annoying thing is that these days that fitness journeys are kind of sexified online, really. Is that really the right term to use? Not sexified, glorified. I don't know. They look very, very pretty. They look very, very, pretty and very, very aesthetic, especially online with social media, and especially like when you look at it in the gym. People are trying to sexify their fitness journey as much as possible. You know what I mean? Like, you look online and you see these complex workouts, people trying to do all these fancy things, and also trying to do these fancy weird diets that are getting promoted a lot on social media these days. And people who are looking in on this probably start to think, you know what, a fitness journey should be complicated, it should be complex, it should be really, really, really sexy all the time, and if I'm not doing that, then I'm not going to get results. And this is kind of the worst possible thing that you could ever think, because fact of the matter is, a fitness journey or a weight loss journey is only really sexy, and it's only really glorified, or it's only really looking amazing when it's trying to be promoted online to get more reach and more engagement and more views. For example, the other day I seen that there was this post from this fitness influencer doing a glute workout which had all these complex movements in it, right? And then the next day she posted another glute workout with completely different exercise in it, with completely different complex workouts in it. The next week she posted another workout with more complex exercises, with lots of different movement mechanics in it, and lots of changes to her workout routine which she posted the previous week. And I'm looking at that and thinking, if anybody were to try these workouts on this fitness influencer's page, they ironically wouldn't get results. And the reason why is because digressing away from the main concept and the main factor and the main thing that you need to do in order to get results, which is consistency, repetition, doing the same thing over and over again so you get better at it. This is something known as program hopping, when somebody tells you to do a workout routine, and then the following week they change their workout routine completely, ultimately resulting in a completely change of program and a completely change of routine. The reason as to why this does not work is because when it comes to doing workout routines, what you do not want to do is change up your routine every single time that you do it and try the new thing, the new complex, the new special, the new pretty thing. In order to get results, when it comes to training in the gym, you need to do one routine and consistently do that routine every time that you go into the gym, and consistently try to improve and progress at it. That is how you get results. This is something known as progressive overload. It's a very basic concept that people tend to get taught at GCSE level, but what progressive overload is picking a certain thing, let's say in this case it's an exercise, and doing that again and again and again and again, gradually starting to increase the stimuli that you put on yourself, further trying to cause your body to adapt. So in very, very non-posh common words, it's basically picking one thing and doing more of it the next day. So for example, going into the gym, doing a goblet squat with your body weight, absolutely fine for 10 reps. The next time you go in, do a goblet squat, body weight, 12 reps. The next time you go in, do a goblet squat for 2 kilograms, 8 reps. The next time you go in, do goblet squat 2 kilograms for 10 reps. Gradually starting to increase the amount of stimuli that you put in onto your legs in order to cause them to adapt. Now what this is, as I said, is progressive overload. And this is just repeating the exercise that you're doing every single time you go in order to consistently start getting better at it. This doesn't involve changing up your routines every single time, because ultimately if you change up your routines every single time, you're not going to progress in one specific exercise, which is not what you want. Your body doesn't adapt to changes in routines all the time. Your body adapts to consistently trying to progress things. There's a theory known as the triad of hypertrophy, and the triad of hypertrophy has been around in the research for quite a long time. Recently it's become under fire because there's a lot of emerging research and emerging evidence to suggest that it's actually not as clear cut as what they used to think. But long story short, the triad of hypertrophy states that in order to obviously build muscle, you need to focus on something called mechanical tension, which is the stretching of your muscles, metabolic stress, which is the amount of load that you're putting on your muscles, and muscular damage. Now, muscular damage is the thing that's coming under a lot of fire recently, because they are suggesting that muscle damage doesn't actually cause as much hypertrophy as what they originally thought. Part of the muscle damage, I guess, component says that you need to increase your novelty, so changing things out all the time. Now, obviously, this is starting to become a little bit debunked, and people say that you don't need to be novel with the exercises and the routines that you're doing, which I completely agree with, because based on the research, based on the evidence. You need to stick to the same exercise that you're doing each time you're going into the gym and start progressing it and improving it each time, rather than changing up your routines. This also comes into play when it comes to nutrition as well. Now, obviously, when it comes to nutrition, I hate when people are so restrictive in their diet, which is ultimately why I created the following of hashtag fuck chicken, rice and broccoli, because it's not the fact that chicken, rice and broccoli is bad per se for weight loss. It's just the fact that it's so fucking boring. You know what I mean? Like, it's the most stale, most grey food that you can eat. Nobody gets home from a night out and is buzzing to eat chicken, rice and broccoli. You know what I mean? Nobody, right? In actual fact, people get in from a night out and want something colourful. They want something tasty. They want something greasy. You know what I mean? So when it comes to the term fuck chicken, rice and broccoli, I don't mean it that it's not good for weight loss. I mean it that it's just so boring and that you need to be changing up what you're eating. But when it comes to the concept that I'm trying to talk about right now, the fact that nutrition isn't sexy comes from the fact that you just need to be hitting your calorie intake weekly. So you don't need to be changing up what you're eating. You don't need to be eating more fats and more carbohydrates and less fats and less carbohydrates. You just need to do this basic boring thing in order to lose fat. Consistently create a calorie deficit, consistently get enough protein in. That's it. You just need to consistently do that. If you have lost a pound after 2 weeks of creating a calorie deficit, you don't need to change anything else. You just need to do exactly the same. Repeat it every single week. The only time that you really need to change it is when you've lost enough weight that your overall maintenance has actually caught up with your deficit, or just gone a little bit lower, because the less of you there is, the less calories that you'll be needing to eat in order to create a deficit. So that's the only really time you need to change it up. But trying to sexify fat loss all the time and change everything that you're doing every single time is the worst thing that you can do. Make your nutrition sexy by obviously eating more foods from different places, changing up what you're eating, but the core concept of fat loss in and of itself isn't sexy. It's just repetition. It's doing the same thing every single time but getting better at it. It's the same with habits and behaviours. Habits and behaviours are not created by doing the same thing over and over again. Habits and behaviours inherently are just the same thing that you do each time, but just getting better at it each time. What I'm trying to get at is, don't look online and think that your weight loss journey has to be magical and it's got to change every single time you do it, and it's got to include all of these sexy, glorified things which are wrapped in sugar and wrapped in flowers. It doesn't have to be that, and it shouldn't be that. It should just be the same thing done every single time, but just a little bit better. It isn't sexy. And as soon as you understand that the concept of fat loss and the concept of weight loss and the concept of building muscle is not sexy, then you can try and make it as enjoyable and as pretty as possible by trying to make it as pretty as possible, but not in a dickish way. Weight loss is not sexy. Fat loss is not sexy. The results that you're going to get from it, however, that's the sexy thing. I hope that helps and I hope that makes sense. If you want any more of my free resources, please feel free to send me an email on my email address, kieran@kphealth.co.uk, and I'll send them through to you, no strings attached. If you want any more questions being answered, please feel free to send me a DM on my Instagram @k.p_health, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. But in the meantime, have a lovely rest of your evening, have a lovely rest of your week, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.